Thank you so much. Okay, so I would like to spark on another topic before we bring Regina back. And that topic is called the decorum amongst us, using our general camaraderie between vendors. There have been instances where some of us have seen our designs, our creations being sold by another vendor. There have been times where vendors have seen a design or seen something and they wanted to create it, and they have posted, who makes this? Who does this belong to? And there's no answer. And when there's no answer, they go ahead. And there have been instances where vendors purchase, like from Alibaba or from one of the Chinese manufacturers, and not knowing that the design or the product that they were selling actually belonged to a vendor, and they ignored the non-disclosure, clause that you may have given them, or they waited a year or 2 years after you sold your design through them, and then now they're offering it. But let's talk about first, how should we approach one another when we see our design or our product or something that we've created? Um, who's ever been in that predicament? The floor is open for discussion. Let's talk. Okay, I have a hand raised, and I think, oh, that's Regina. Go ahead, Regina.
So, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So, this is a hot topic because you know that you're going to see your stuff on some, see your design or something close to it in different places from time to time, especially if people like it. It was a surprise to me to see something that I created, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but there is a design that's out there. It says Delta, the real thing since 1913. That is my creation and my creation alone. I am sure that you guys have seen that all over. Imagine the surprise. I created that at my work desk drinking a Coca-Cola. And my chapter is Contra Costa alumni. So I wrote Contra Costa down. I have this real fancy writing, you guys. Some people can't understand, but I was trying to make it look like the Coca-Cola. So in doing that, and my creative juice is going, I created that design. And then when I saw it on somebody else's website, it wasn't even on the website. Somebody had it on and said she got it. And people are like, oh, that's really cute. Where'd you get that from? And I didn't recall the name of the person who had it on. And sometimes as vendors, some of the people who order from you, you make friends with them. But I saw the sign, it was on somebody else's website and I was stuck. Or she said it was somebody else, she got it from someone else. The way that I handled it is I said, really, that's really, really cute, Sora. That's, it's my design. And where'd you get it from? And she said, oh, they don't know, you bought it somewhere. She said, oh, I got this from such and such website, you can go here to order. And I said, well, that's my design, but it's cute. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, like, is there some sort of recourse or what kind of communication should we have around that? Like, so I reached out to the person inbox. I never said anything on the page or anything like that because I think it's rude to just to do that. Um, or if you say that, oh, that's my design and leave it alone, then leave it alone. But you cannot trademark. I see somebody said they trademark. You cannot trademark something that's already trademarked. And the font that is used for my real thing since 1913 is called Loki Cola. That's Coca-Cola's font. It's already been trademarked, so you cannot trademark something that or even a portion of something that's already been trademarked. You can and look it up. I have my ex is an attorney, so I was trying to figure out how do we go about trademarking certain things. Some things you can, some things you can't. So with this one, I couldn't because Coca-Cola owned that font. In any case, I talked about it with the vendor. She said, "Well, I saw this, I liked it, and so I recreated it." Okay, what can you do? You guys, I have seen my design in some capacity on maybe 50 different pages. I don't get mad anymore for those kind of designs because it's all over. And if you can't trademark it or register it, then you just have to chalk it up to the game and understand that, and I'm trying to, that imitation is the best form of flattery. It doesn't always work for me, but I always try to reach out to the person who is creating my design, especially if it's something that I am showcasing and selling now. I have a problem with that. I do not knowingly take another person's design and recreate it for sale for myself. Never. And if I do, if I see something, and I saw a slogan one time, and I said, "Ooh," I saved it for almost 2 years because I knew that one day I wanted to use it, right? Well, if you didn't create it, somebody else did, right? And if that person says, "Hey, that's mine, I'm using it," well, it's a slogan. It's not, there's nothing, a design quality, there's no graphics added. It was words, and it was words created from something else. And you just keep piggybacking on things. But it is always, it's not always what you say, but how you say it. So be mindful that as sorors, we're supposed to at least extend courtesy to say, "Hey, soror, that's my design. Can you please not sell it?" Angelica, I'm going to stop talking in just a second, you guys. But Angelica, remember when you guys started the creamery, you and Keisha,
Yeah.
and we had a discussion about camaraderie amongst vendors. What is your concern about putting your designs in the creamery? And the first thing that came up was, well, if I put something in there with vendors, then they're going to have my designs. So we agreed as a group of vendors that we would not copy each other's designs. This was a safe place for you to share your work, sell it to people, present it to people, and you wouldn't have to worry about us recreating it. Now, somebody else might, but it wouldn't be us. Unfortunately, not everybody got that message. They go on Etsy, see your design, somebody else is stolen, they just take it. Or they see it in the creamery and say, "That's cute." And then it's making money for you. So I'll do it too. So just remember that it happens, and it's not what you say, but how you say it, that really brings home the message of sisterhood. And it was not my intention to hurt you, but let's talk about it. Will you give me some royalties from what you're creating from my work? Because it takes a lot, y'all know, to put this stuff together. So that's all I'm going to say. But it
Okay.
happens.
Yes, it does happen. Especially when you have some cool designs. Yeah. um, any other input, questions, incidents, concerns, resolves?
This is Melanie
Yes.
from Vinylized by Don. And I had had it happen to me. And this was just a coincidence. A person, I had some napkin ring holders, and they were in the symbols, and the symbols, they had pearls in them. A very basic design is the symbols, nothing else, just the symbols with pearls in it. Very typical. And then I had just so happened to be a friend who called and said, "I'm so tired of people copying my stuff. And where'd you buy it?" or something like that. And I said, "Oh, I designed that myself, but it's a simple design. I mean, anybody could do that." And she said, "Well, that's my design." And I said, number one, she wasn't an intellectual, she wasn't a licensed vendor. That was number one. And then number two, not that I would have copied something even if she wasn't one, but number two, I said, it's the symbols. The symbols are already copyrighted by Delta Sigma Theta. So I know it's just a coincidence that we both came up with the same thing. But, in this case here, I didn't feel like, oh, I have to stop doing what I'm doing because it's the symbols. And number one is that she never marketed hers. She ordered them, bought them, and she just had them in her house. And so, but she didn't want anybody to copy hers. And then she said the same thing about a Starbucks cup that I had. And I was like, okay, that cup is just so regularly. I personalized it. We don't have the same personalization. You don't even have the cup out there. And so and she didn't quite understand. I think she was a little bit mad at me. But in that case, usually if somebody tells me that you've picked up something of mine, I will drop it, because I don't order big inventory. So I would drop it. It wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, I might say, well, if you mind if I put it in some baskets, but I'm not going to advertise it. But I know that happens a lot, and I'm noticing it more in the creamery, where I'm at the point now where I don't like to put my designs when I do design, because of the fact that a lot of times I see my exact design, and other vendors will say, just chalk it up to, that's part of the game and keep it moving. But like Sora just said, it takes a long time to come up with designs.
Well, I'm going to work on a resolve when it comes to vendors and designs, especially in the creamery and naliaZONE within the next upcoming 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. And we'll discuss that in the creamery, in the VNS room and all. So I don't want to get, too belabored with that part. We have Deborah Harris. You would like to say something?
Did my name come up? Yes.
Yes.
I'm Deborah Harris, Finer Things Greek. I wanted to say I created a figurine. It took me 3 to 5 years to create her. It's called the Legacy Carousel. You have probably seen it in different places, seen her. I call her because it took me so long. She was like one of my children. But I had them created, went through all the process of finding a person in China that could create them for me. On my computer, I have all the original artwork, the clay work, the design. I had a vanity box created to go with the figurine and started selling it. And then the company that created it sold out the remaining inventory because they went out of business. Instead of selling it to me, they sold it to somebody. But if you Google the Legacy Carousel right now from where you are on your phone, it comes up. It was on Amazon, on Etsy, and they gave me credit for it. It says Deborah Harris, the Legacy Carousel, El Paso, Texas. And it has the whole story I wrote for that little figurine. And I had a music box put in it that plays This Little Light of Mine. And I can no longer get it. I've been trying to get it created. So if anyone knows how to get figurines recreated, if you could put me in contact with how to do that. But don't do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen the figurine when I first started the creamery.
Yes.
It was very delicate, very pretty, and it reminded me of home. It's beautiful.
And the people the sewers who were posting on there was commenting that they had bought 3 or 4. We sold them with a tag that could adhere to the figurine with the sewers put their grandchildren's names on them individually, their legacies. So it was a personal piece.
Yes.
And, the Legacy Carousel.
That's beautiful. If anyone knows of a company, please drop it in the box or either contact Deborah Harris directly.
Finer Things Greek, yeah.
Finer Things Greek. And Deborah, if you would like to put a little note about looking for a figurine maker in the chat, please do.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anyone else who would like to say something before? Gina, are you ready, or do you need some
Can you hear me?
Oh, Digging Her Roots. We have
Yes.
Leanne. Okay.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. No, I just wanted to comment real quick. So I agree with, things that have been said. And I think in the chat too, it's about the approach. Like, obviously, if you are searching for Delta Sigma Theta or whatever, you are searching for online and items from, China pop up, to me, I'm also going to assume that it is someone else's design. So I always lead with that. I think sometimes it definitely is a coincidence. There are stock items that, a lot of vendors sell just to kind of fill their inventory, such as like, a pearl necklace with the letters on it, but like when you're really getting into like intricate cardigans and sweatshirts and pins and stuff, I'm going to always lead with, this is someone else's design. So I think that's something for us to think about as well. I do know, as you stated, like some people will post and say, hey, is this someone else's design, right? However, all of the licensed vendors are not limited to the Creamery group. So sometimes, I'm going to be honest, I do kind of scratch my head when, there's a post that may go viral. Someone is like searching for a particular item, right? And the vendor's not in the Creamery. And then in 3 days, someone's like, oh, I'm now producing this item for pre-order, right? All the licensed vendors are not limited to the Creamery. That very well is someone else's, item that you're now profiting off of. The last thing I want to say is, I think you do a great job. We are forever grateful to you for the opportunity that you all have provided for us to sell in the Creamery. But I know you said that you're working on something to kind of help police it a little bit more. But in one of the other sorority selling groups I'm in, I think they have maybe like a much larger admin team. But they actually will delete posts if they know. So if they know that Digging Her Roots sells this particular item, and then my friend, or not my friend, but another vendor posts that, they will delete that post and they will message you, hey, we know that this is someone else's design. Just be careful about that, right? And that also comes with a lot of work. You're doing a free service to us, so it may not be that you're able to do that, but that may be something that will make people think twice, because I do know a lot of vendors that have really good product that now will not post in the Creamery for a lot of reasons that folks have stated, right? And it's a platform for all of us. So those are just kind of like some of my thoughts.
Okay. And then that's right. There needs to be a decorum and more policing of who has signature. And I'm going to call it signature pieces, like Deborah Harris's figurine. Like a lot of the designs that you see by Gina, because there's some things I can look right at and I say, that's Gina's work. I don't even have to see her name. A lot of stuff that I see that I can tell it came from Digging Her Roots. Everybody has, it's like something like a signature piece or a signature field. And you don't even have to have the name, and I can tell you right off who made this, who created this. But one question that I do want to pose before we close off on this subject, looking at the bootleg vendors, because they have, I hate to say it, they have some of the most extraordinary products. I don't even think they can make it, but they are showing some of the most profound pieces and apparel and signature pieces. Is it right? Now, mind you, they're bootleg vendors. Is it right to take that design and make it yourself because you're licensed? What is your input? You see a bootleg vendor has some great things on their site. You know they're bootleg. And they got some stuff that's out this world. Would you take that design for yourself? Because if they come after you, they can't do anything. They're not licensed. What is your input? What are your thoughts? We got some hands up. We have Darylyn. Darylyn, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I was gonna comment about the bootleg people, not about if I would steal their design or not. I'm not sure, because I do believe my husband works in the patent and trademark office. So I definitely respect people's intellectual property, even though they don't own it, because they're not licensed.
Yeah.
My issue that I've had is that I'm very much in the craft world.
Okay.
I'm on 50 million different craft sites, and there's a lot of people who have started little side hustles, they call them, doing crafts. And a lot of our own sorors go to people they know who make shirts or make tumblers or make whatever. Can you make this?
Yeah.
And a lot of the people don't even know that they're not allowed to use that intellectual property because they have people in the organization
Mhm.
that are asking them to make it.
Yeah.
So I have gone after people on these craft sites and said, you're not allowed to do that. Are you a licensed vendor? And,
Yeah.
some of them come at me very nasty. Some of them block me. Um, you go to Etsy, they got 50 million people selling stuff. None of them are licensed. I've reported them to um, the national headquarters 50 million times. Nothing's done.
Yeah.
They just keep selling these products. So it's very frustrating because initially, I was a crafter who was selling things without IP on it
Yeah.
very diligently. I'd have my husband working hours looking up stuff to see if I was allowed to use certain things to make sure I was doing it correctly. And then having paid all this money to now be licensed or certified, um, and then seeing that even after you report time and time again, nothing's done. They're still up there. They're still selling stuff, particularly on the Etsy platform, is very frustrating.
Yeah.
Um, the lack of communication as a new vendor was frustrating. Not being given files, not being given any kind of even notification that, oh, now you are, licensed or certified. So um, I'm just venting right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay.
And just
Because
wondering, like, has anyone else like reported bootleg people, and have you gotten anywhere? Is there a better way of doing it? Because it's frustrating to pay all this money and then people are selling stuff. And sorors are not, I don't know if they're not even like aware that they're not supposed to do that, to, invite friends or neighbors, whoever, who are doing these side hustles to do stuff with letters on them. Um, is there anything that can be done from a national standpoint where they, say, don't do that, that's not allowed? I don't know. I'm just venting. So thanks
yes.
for letting me to vent.
No problem. We have any insights? I see that Regina's hand is up, and put your hand up if you want to like to say something. Regina?
So I have been appointed as the Far West Regional Vendor Coordinator for certain things like this as well. If you see something, they say something. People don't know what they don't know. And if you as an organization member take a design to someone and say, can you make this for me? Well, you know that JoJo down the street makes shirts and he has no idea that he's not supposed to make those shirts with the intellectual properties on them for sale. Now, can he make those for you? You're ordering 15 shirts for yourself and your line. Okay. It's not ethical because you got the shirt from somewhere to show him to make, but can he make those? Yeah, he can. Should he? Nope, he shouldn't because he's not licensed to do so. However, when he makes those shirts and puts them on his website, that becomes a violation.
Yes.
Now, he thought the design was cute, and these deltas came in and bought these shirts and they loved them, and now I have them on my wall or on my website to say I can make these shirts, so people going on there buying them. That is against the rules. So what has happened in my case is I've run across it a few times. I went to LA, you guys, and I was in the wholesale area. And I'm walking across, and there's mostly Asian people that man those stores. So I see Delta Sigma Theta, the sequined Delta Sigma Theta shirt with the symbols on front, super cute. But how about the letters were pink? I all but fainted. So I went in there because you're supposed to, as vendors, we're supposed to be able to produce our business license for selling Delta IPs. Now I care about the other organizations, but I'm not going after people for other organizations. That's not my fight. However, when I went in and asked, how do you have this in your window? Can I buy that? She said, yeah, you can buy. Hold on. If I can buy it, you have not asked me for my license. It's, this is a wholesale place. Those people are about making their money. And if you don't say anything, nothing happens. So why are you selling Delta insignia in your store to common people? So we're wondering how people, homeless people or men or just different people have our stuff. It's because they see it there, they like it, it's nice colors, they buy it. That shirt was pink, the symbols were pink. Y'all know anybody that is a member of our organization would never authorize that. I said, I'm reporting you, right? Either you sell them to me now, take them down, one, and sell them to me. I wasn't telling them to give them to me, but sell them to me. She sold me every shirt for $1. And I cut up all those pink designs. Some of them were just faded because they had been in the sun for so long, which caused them to fade to pink, which means the dye they used was cheap. In any case, you can ask them to take it down, to remove it. You can let them know that they're not licensed to sell unless you ask for their license and they're able to produce it. If somebody asks me for my license, I am responsible as a vendor to produce my license for them. And I have copies on my phone, I can easily get to it. But if they cannot produce their license, then you can report them. What happens? Usually not a whole lot. They just go on a list of people who are selling against Delta's will, but be clear. There has been a huge vendor who was manufacturing Delta IP that thought they couldn't be touched because what are you going to do to me? Delta sued them. And guess what? There are bags, there are these really nice things. They made some of the nicest quality items that I had ever seen prior to me making my own. I'm kidding. But they make nice stuff. They got Delta sued them. And they are no longer able to or permitted to make some of the items that they were making back then, but Delta sued them. So don't be completely let down that it seems the process isn't working. It's just that Delta does not always have the bandwidth to go after everybody that is bootlegging our IP. But that vendor did get sued and could not produce any Delta licensing or Delta IP for, I think it was 3 years, nothing. So where some of the vendors were going to the same person to get that product, they were no longer able to get anything from them. But guess what? They're on the national website now.
Yeah. Perfect. Regina, while you get ready to present, we have one last comment from JM Stamps. Go ahead, JM.
Hi, sorors. I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on what the soror who is a crafter said. And that is that there are quite a few crafters who make our products, but the pushback is continuously and sometimes with very nasty attitude attached to it when you ask them not to make the products because they are not licensed vendors. And their retort almost 9 times out of 10 is that they know that they're not supposed to make our stuff. So I would say that there are quite a few people who actually do know that they should not be making our items because they've been told by somebody, or they even have been told by the soror herself that they should not be making this items. Hey, just make this for me, but don't make it for any other Delta because you're not supposed to be making it. And as soon as you ask them to not make it or don't post it or whatever, they say, well, your sorors keep coming to me asking me for it, so I'm going to keep selling it. So sometimes we have to police within ourselves. We even see that sometimes in the creamery where sorors are saying they don't like a mandate from national headquarters that says don't wear camouflage. I'll use camouflage as an example because that's the sore spot it appears to be. But you have sorors who say, well, I already paid for it. and it's my money and ain't nobody going to tell me whatever, whatever. So we're always going to have those instances where people should not be wearing certain things or should not be making certain things, but we have sorors themselves who won't adhere to guidelines or respect the guidelines that Delta has. And unfortunately, that's just going to have to be, that's a fight that's within to get sorors to respect that it is our brand. And we do that for a reason, because some of the stuff that they make is so terribly made, and they just throw symbols with any old kind of thing. It's just a lot, but we sorors have to take responsibility also in helping to curtail some of that. And also, to the young lady said, what can you do? You can report to Etsy, and Etsy will require them to produce their license. So
I've done it.
Shop that
I've done it. I've done it. And they have, I've reported, there's this one shop that has everybody's organization. I've reported individual items. I've reported the shop. Nothing has happened. This person is still up. And I reported them to Delta and I reported them to Etsy probably about 20 times each. They still sell it.
I've reported too, and neither one of those shops are back up. Now, did they make a new shop that I don't know about? It's possible. I'm just saying, like, from my own experience, I've had success with it. I've reported too because I respectfully asked them to take it down, primarily because they had our symbols mixed with things that Delta says that they should not be mixed with. So that's what caught my eye. That made me even to be diligent in that regard. And I knew that they were not licensed by the response. Well, actually, they weren't even American by the response that they gave. And that's not to say that all vendors have to be American, but you guys know what I mean. And so both of those shops got taken down. How the young lady got my information to reach out to me, the second lady, how she got my information to reach out to me, I have no idea, but I had no problems telling her this was my issue. This was my concern. Her retort, even then, was that she started making the items at the request of another Delta or whatever. But even in that case, they took her shop. They did take her shop down. I don't know if it's going to happen for everybody, but I'm just saying, like, that is also an option. And then the other thing is that I know that Delta has put a mandate in place, particularly when you're dealing with chapter purchases. So if any chapter purchases from a non-licensed vendor, then there's a chance that there could be a sanction. We learned that in training. So I know that's one way Delta's trying to do things, but like she said, they don't have the bandwidth to go after everybody. But I do know that that is one thing that people need to be on alert with, because what they told us in a recent training, and I don't know if the soror was speaking off the cuff, but she was essentially saying, like, they're starting to look at lines. When you have a 50-person line and you got an anniversary and you guys are buying and they're seeing that or whatever, and they're posting whatever, they're saying that they have been contacting sorors about that. So that's just something to share. And Darylyn, you can send me privately to people. I'll report with you too, because some of that stuff is just awful. It's trash. And you don't want our symbols associated with some of that mess at all, ever.
I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
And this goes for all of the D9 as well. Maybe there needs to be a concerted effort where, like, for instance, the shop that Darylyn is talking about on Etsy, if they have everything, we need members from those organizations to make a concerted effort together. Hey, this person is not licensed. They're not on our list. Here's the number to our headquarters, and you will find out that this person in this shop who's making money off of us is not licensed. So maybe there needs to be a concerted effort. And Darylyn, I will talk with you further along with JM Stamps about how we can have that done. We're going back to the mission of naliaZONE is to educate all D9 members of who their licensed vendors are. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not look at their own lists to find out who's licensed. Unfortunately, we have vendors who have lied and said they are the vendor and stolen the person's name or the company's name. And the the consumer is unbeknownst to them, is not the real vendor. Going back to what Leanne from Digging Her Roots said, a lot of vendors may have felt that they could not post their which is going to be something I'm going to try to solve. They did not want to post their creations in the creamery or any groups like the creamery because there's afraid that their design will be stolen. But who's to say? There have been vendors who've seen people with outfits on or shirts on at different events and say, hey, I like that. And they have actually stolen the design right in front of the person who was wearing it, later. Back in the day, vendors didn't know who stole their stuff because we did not have social media. You know what I'm saying? So back in the day, there were people who probably were selling a person's design on the West Coast, and then the other person was on the East Coast and never knew that their design was being stolen. So I hate to say not posting in the creamery or a group like the creamery is the cure, because it's not. There have been vendors who have been at conventions on the convention floor stealing people's designs. You know what I'm saying? So, but we're going to make a concerted effort to curtail that by doing style books, signature books. This design is so-and-so's design. We better not see it in the creamery, because we would like to bring those vendors back to increase your reach. We don't want you to leave a group for the creamery. Maximize and use all the groups for your product and for your reach and for your branding. So we would like to welcome them back, but we'll work on that as well. Let me see, I think that, is it Aldina? Aldina, and then we'll be ready for you after Aldina, Regina. Aldina.
Hi, Soares. This is Aldina from Queen Enterprises. I just want to say this here is it's all been going on for a long time, and we've seen it. I'm just glad that we finally have a summit where we can all talk about this together. I was at a show, and actually another vendor was taking pictures of my whole table. So my legacy, she jumped in front, and we were like, what are you doing? Go create your own. So it's sad because I don't do a lot in the creamery anymore. I'm looking at changing up my business model. So I don't know how we can combat that, but I'm listening, and if anyone has any ideas on what we could do differently. I do copyright and trademark all of my work.
Yeah.
Just wanted to share. And thank you, Angelica. I'm loving this.
No problem. And again, don't stay away from the creamery. People can steal your stuff off the floor, like Aldina said. People can steal your stuff by seeing a person wearing it way across on the other side of the country and all, and it doesn't stop them. However, with the creamery, I do think we can do a better job because it's a community, it's a close community. So if you put somebody's stuff up, they're going to say, hey, that's my stuff. Whereas if you're at a festival, people are stealing people's designs all day long. But we'll work on that as well to make everybody happy. We can't make everybody happy, but we can put some precautions in place. Thank you so much. Regina, are you ready?